All right. Welcome back. Johnny Wave's still in the chair, still got coffee, still got opinions, and still confused how every solution somehow turns into a 14-year feasibility study and a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a parking lot. Now, we left off talking about structure, incentive systems, the invisible machinery behind why rent feels like it's got a personality disorder. But now we hit the next boss level. Solutions. Oh, I love solutions. I love the idea of solutions. Solutions are like movie trailers, fast, exciting, full of hope. And then the actual release date hits and suddenly it's delayed due to permitting issues. Let's talk affordable housing. Every city, every state, every press conference, we are committed to building more affordable housing. Great, love it, clap it up. But then the blueprint hits reality, and suddenly we enter what I call the zoning dimension. Because in this dimension, every good idea must first survive.
Environmental review, community impact hearings.
Neighborhood opposition groups name things like concerned citizens for parking preservation, and the ancient guardian known only as not in my backyard. And just like that, poof, your 300-unit housing project turns into a mixed-use proposal for 3 condos and a meditation garden. Meditation garden? Great people can meditate on why they still can't afford rent. Now don't get me wrong, regulation exists for reasons. Nobody's saying build chaos towers with no planning and call it progress. But somewhere along the line, the process stopped being a gate and became a fortress. And behind that fortress, housing supply just stacking up like it's stuck in airport security. And here's the irony that really fries the circuits. Everyone agrees we need more housing, but the second someone proposes more housing, the conversation becomes, wait, but what about traffic? What about character? What about parking? What about my emotional attachment to an empty lot I've never visited but suddenly love deeply? And boom, project stalled. Meanwhile, rent is outside doing parkour off your paycheck. Now I can already hear the pushback. Johnny, you can't just build your way out of it. Really? Because we've tried building nothing and that seems to have absolutely not worked at all. And let's not forget the political layer. Oh yes, the beautiful dance of announcements. Press conference. Groundbreaking ceremony. Golden shovel energy. Actual completion. We're reviewing updated timelines. It's like watching someone promise you dinner, show you the ingredients, take a photo of the stove, and then you're still hungry 3 years later. And while all this happens, the people at the center of it, the renters, the displaced, the folks living in cars and shelters doubled up in living rooms, don't care about the vocabulary war. They care about one thing: a door that locks, a roof that holds, a place that doesn't cost half your life to keep. But in the middle of policy debates and planning commissions, that simple idea gets buried under layers of process until it feels impossible. And that's the real frustration people are reacting to. Not just the problem, but the speed of response versus the speed of reality. Because reality doesn't wait for hearings. Reality just shows up. Every day, on every corner, in every city that says, we're working on it. Alright, we're out of time for this segment, but stay locked in. Coming up next on why everyone argues about homelessness like it's a philosophy class instead of a housing shortage with consequences. This is Johnny Wave, and I'm just saying what the rent receipts already wrote in ink.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Johnny Wave here. Still riding the frequency where common sense and policy paperwork occasionally meet briefly, like awkward strangers in an elevator. Now let's talk about what happens when homelessness enters the public conversation. Because somehow, It turns into a debate where everyone is arguing, but nobody is talking about the same thing. One group is talking about economics, another is talking about morality, another is talking about personal responsibility. And somewhere in the back, reality is just standing there holding a help wanted sign for housing units that don't exist yet. And this is where the disconnect lies. Because you can have all the policy arguments in the world, but if the underlying issue is that housing costs outrun income, then everything else becomes secondary damage control. But instead of focusing on that core imbalance, the conversation keeps fracturing into smaller and smaller arguments until it looks like a group project where nobody read the assignment. Now I hear it all the time. It's mental health, it's addiction, it's enforcement, it's compassion, it's accountability. Yeah, it's all of those things. But it's also this. If you can't afford to exist indoors, the system will eventually meet you outdoors. That's not ideology, that's gravity. And yet, every solution gets filtered through layers of disagreement until the original problem gets blurry. You ever notice that? The more important the issue, the more complicated we pretend it is, until action slows down to a crawl. Meanwhile, the streets don't slow down. They don't wait for consensus. They just expand. All right, Johnny Wave wrapping this up. Let me bring it home. At the end of the day, homelessness isn't just a headline, and it's not just a talking point people throw around when election season rolls in like a storm cloud with flyers. It's the outcome of pressure, economic pressure, housing pressure, wage pressure, stacked long enough that something eventually breaks. And when it breaks, it doesn't break in a boardroom, it breaks in real life. On sidewalks and cars and shelters and places people pass every day pretending not to see because they don't know what to do with what they're seeing. And yeah, people argue about who to blame. Government policy, developers, renters, market systems, culture. Pick your target. But the uncomfortable truth is this. When basic housing becomes financially out of reach for too many people, you don't get a theoretical problem. You get a visible one. And the real frustration, the thing people are actually reacting to underneath all the noise, isn't just anger, it's exhaustion. Exhaustion from watching the same problem get discussed 1,000 times louder than it gets solved. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a choice. Keep talking past each other, or start focusing on the actual math of housing, supply, cost, and access, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it points fingers in directions nobody likes, because ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It just makes it spread. This is Johnny Wave signing off for now. And I'll leave you with this. If the cost of shelter keeps climbing faster than the ability to pay for it, don't be surprised when more people end up outside asking the one question nobody built into the system. Where exactly are we supposed to go? Stay tuned. Stay tuned.